Am I the a-hole for yelling at my wife for being unhelpful while I took our son to the emergency room for a broken arm? My wife, 33 female, is a stay-at-home mom with our son, 4 male, and we also have a daughter, 6F, in school. Last Friday I get a frantic call from my wife around noon that our son fell off the top bunk while she wasn't looking and now his arm looks really swollen. So I find him crying and holding an incredibly swollen, red arm sitting on the ground and refuses to let anyone touch it. My wife is sitting on the couch crying and saying how his arm looks so bad. I pick him up to go to the emergency room. I try to dress him since he can't open his arms and ask her to get the car seat ready. She doesn't move and keeps crying. I give up and do the best I can and call for my wife to get in. She just sobs and shakes her head saying I can't. So I drive off without her. I got really annoyed at my wife at this point. We get to the hospital and they want to run him through some x-rays and he's screaming bloody murder. Around 3 PM I get a call from my daughter's school saying that no one's picked her up, my wife's job. So I call my wife. No one picks up. I call 3-4 more times before I rush out to the school. My son was inconsolable at me leaving him. Even the doctors were confused why I had to leave so soon. I get home with my daughter and rush in to find my wife still crying on the phone to her sister. I absolutely let loose and yelled, "Where the F were you? Why didn't you answer my calls?" She's shocked and just screams at me back that she's overwhelmed and can't handle all this right now. I get our daughter out and tell my wife to look after her. My daughter is crying because mom's crying and hangs onto my legs wanting to go with me. My wife makes no move to help me, so I just ended up bringing our daughter with me to the hospital. The next day, while our kids were both sleeping, I couldn't hold back and yelled at my wife for being absolutely zero help. She got equally mad and told me I humiliated her in front of her sister when I yelled when she was on the phone, and that I should been more considerate of the fact that she is really bad in emergencies. While I know she's not great in emergencies, this was something else, and I felt like I didn't have a partner at all. Now she wants an emergency couples counseling session to address my rage, but I'm honestly conflicted. I've never yelled at her before, and I do feel guilty, but I also feel like these circumstances were extreme. However, I did apologize for yelling and wonder if I made things worse. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. She needs an emergency counseling session on why she crumbled. I'm a mom. Can't imagine not taking care of my kids when they're hurt/upset/needy. Doubling on this comment. Not the a-hole, and take her up on the counseling. She can talk about your age while you talk about her serious panicked response which has you worried about whether she's able to care for your children by herself. This kind of response is really extreme. Your wife may really have some kind of PTSD you just don't know about that got triggered. It's her responsibility to figure it out, and yours to help her. This is the thick and thin part. But most importantly, to make sure she has a safety plan for what happens if something else scares her. All of the above. You guys need help to fix this. I would be worried about leaving her alone with the kids if she can't handle this stuff. I actually well understand you yelling. I would have too. But go to the counseling. It will benefit you both. What sort of PTSD requires someone to post on Facebook for hours while their child sits abandoned at school while the other sits in pain at the ER? The incredibly shoddy behavior of this person is being softened to a ridiculous degree. A father would never be coddled this way. If her anxiety is this bad, she needs to go to a doctor and get medication. Therapy is not suitable for her until then. Oh yeah, I didn't see that comment until after I posted. I think it raises questions about whether or not she's 1. A truly terrible person with psychopathic tendencies towards her own children. 2. Disassociating from reality after a PTSD attack. And or 3. High as a kite. I disagree that questioning someone's mental stability and basic trustworthiness to be alone with their own children is coddling, and I do think my response would have been the same if the genders were reversed. But please make this an argument about how ladies have it easy and child neglect accusations. Her behavior is so bizarre that it made me wonder whether the arm was actually broken by falling off the bed as she said. Seriously, I have a 4-year-old, and he'd have been a mess if I or his dad abandoned him in pain in an unfamiliar location with a bunch of strangers. That part made me ache for that poor baby. That's not a dig at the dad. He obviously had no other choice. Agree. When I was 4 or 5, my brother and I spent the day with my aunt and went to a dog parade type thing. Don't exactly remember. Was about 28 years ago. I ended up falling and hitting my head on a fire hydrant. Blood everywhere. My bro had to give me his shirt to sop it up, and I was inconsolable. My aunt took us to the and I wouldn't even let the drives near me, let alone touch my head, until I had my mom. But she was over an hour and a half away at work and couldn't come. I remember them letting me talk to her on the phone and her explaining why she couldn't be there and to let the drives help me, but I was absolutely hysterical. Finally, I let them, and really only needed one little stitch. I didn't even feel them put it in, but the fear of all the blood in the needle was so paralyzing. If I had been left alone, I'm not sure how I would reacted. All these comments looking to excuse the mom's reaction are BS. I don't care if she has PTSD, anxiety, what the hell ever. There is no excuse other than she was selfish and self-absorbed in a moment of crisis. She's a parent. This wasn't about her. I'm sorry. Ovary up and help your child in need. If I was the dad, I'd be livid. My view of my wife would change completely. Not only because she couldn't help at all in the moment, but because she is now doubling up trying to pin it on dad due to being yelled at when he literally had to leave work, run home to get his youngest to the leave that child alone to pick up oldest at school, go back home to no avail, and bring other child to emergency room with him, all while mom sat on the couch talking on the phone and posting online. And she expects an apology, yet sees nothing wrong with her behavior. Beyond narcissistic and self-absorbed. I'm sure she views herself as the victim here. It's a little repulsive, to be honest. Sounds like your wife has been enabled and coddled by everyone in her life, and needs a good hard reality check. I certainly wouldn't trust my children with a person whose main concern, after everything that happened, is you yelled at me. We need emergency therapy, to make me feel better about myself. She utterly failed as a parent and partner on multiple levels. If that were me, I'd be completely focused on my son and his health, and my daughter, and how she felt, after everything that went down. The fact that her first concern is herself says a lot about her. Dude, document all of this, and start looking for a lawyer. Seriously. Imagine how you would feel if your mother totally abandoned you when you were in pain, not even trying to comfort you, but got right on Facebook to look for sympathy. Honestly, I think she broke his arm, mate. The crying is guilt. She doesn't want to go to the hospital in case the doctors realize it wasn't broken in a fall. She refused to answer your calls in case they'd told you. Her Facebook posts are basically, look how much I love my kid. I could never hurt him. If nothing else, had she moved him, she'd surely put him on the couch. Right? Why is he on the floor? Is there a reason your son wasn't imploring mommy for help? I reckon mommy broke his arm then crumbled nearby with the knowledge she's going to get caught, which is why she couldn't tell you what happened on the phone. She hadn't made up a story yet, or tried to get your son to play along. It's also why she wants counseling from her mother's friend. She can do a damn good job of gaslighting you, if she has a professional that will rubber stamp her bullshit. I mean, think about it. Her counseling you breaks all sorts of ethics, and could cost her her license, if you actually reported it. Why is she risking her career for your wife? Thanks for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe for more videos. See you all later.